Okay, this slide is perhaps in terms of the topic that I've addressed. In other words, why do you want to make sure that you buy from a reputable sort of supplier? And this is certainly the part where it's crucial. If you look at environmental considerations, wind, antennas, we rate typically antennas up to 160 km/h. Many people will write that on a spec sheet. They'll just write that's the wind rating of the antenna. We typically test antennas to this wind speed. Where we test them, because wind tunnels at this type of speed is very difficult to get, but the way we test them is that we use a vehicle, a special track, go at that speed, antenna sideways, and I think that's an extremely real test. But in all cases, our antennas are tested up to that specification. If you look at salt and corrosion, this is salt spray chambers and so forth. We test everything and every component that goes into it, and piece of stainless steel, because these are the things that you only notice later. When you see an antenna, you can't tell that it's got these problems, and a year later you may have it blowing down in the wind, or in this case icing up. We test all of the antennas in an actual fridge down to the low temperature specification we give it. We test it in ovens in terms of the high specification. We do additional tests where we use rain. We've got a little rain machine, which is just a complex shower, because antennas, even though this doesn't relate to the IP rating, just having rain on them sometimes changes their performance. So we test them in rain conditions while measuring the performance. UV, this is another thing. It's a very expensive compound. You have to add plastics to ensure that it's UV protected. Now, of course, you can't really check that without very complex equipment. And if it doesn't have UV protection, you find 2 years down the line, you can just knock on a radome and it will shatter. In other words, it goes completely brittle. But you have to virtually trust a manufacturer that is ensured that it's suitably UV protected. High quality, I think, goes without any saying. And I think for people in Europe, the regulation on hazardous substances, many people just say this is RoHS compliant. We once again have got a full X-ray spectrograph where we test every component going into our products to make sure that it complies. And this is important because ultimately when something would fail or would be caught out that it's actually not RoHS compliant, there's often a lot of people in trouble for that. In other words, every part of the chain have to ensure that things that they sell are RoHS compliant.